I'm going to, okay, let's go upstairs and upstairs, wait, I'll write continue because, oh, now I can see you guys. We'll go upstairs, I'll show you slides, and because I know that you young children, you know, it's different age of his children, I will give you orange juice. We will have orange juice while we're watching the slides, and I'll give you 10 cents each. So the children sitting through slides after slides after slides of little flowers and little animals from the Kruger Park, let's say, or something, and it became sort of boring. So after an hour of boring stories, one of the little children got up and said, Daddy, can I give you the 10 cents back? I don't want the 10 cents. I'm sorry that I can't give you the orange juice. And this story illustrates very clearly that something that is very interesting for you, and you're telling it because it brings you memories or something, it's very nice for you. It's not necessarily nice for anyone else. So when we're writing a book, it's very important that I'm not telling you what I'm thinking, just I'm making love to you. It's a relationship. And for example, I can see here that Hilda was my student. So she knows very well that when we had a literature course, you know, you read stories and poetry of writers, you pick up immediately what was wrong with this story and why is this one. It's the little shortfalls. So as a writer, it gave me the fear of God in me. It put the fear of God in me because I was so worried about making the same mistake or boring the people in the story. And then the whole idea is coming that I have to engage you in a relationship. So it's almost like dancing tango. You don't dance by yourself. This is not like the youngsters having this. It's I'm presenting something for you, and it's like making love. I'm pulling you into the story. But of course, for this, I need to know who are the audience, because if I'm telling you, you'll see that this book is a bit more of a Jewish background. And to make sure that you know this, by the way, Amazon asked to write a description. So I put the words, for example, in the description, I say the main characters, Abigail, that has plenty of chutzpah. And I used in the next sentence the idea of the great Hasidic mystic. What do I do by these words, chutzpah and great Hasidic mystics? I cut out all the anti-Semites. If people don't like chutzpah, they know that chutzpah is come from Jewish, from Israel, from this, or they don't want anything to do with Hasidics or something, even though the book is not about this. But I put a barrier. It's so interesting how you have a secret language in which I cut out a lot of people that I know it might not be their cup of tea. So let's say the book went a few days ago on the Amazon. And by the way, that's something very, very interesting to whoever likes books. Amazon asks you, do you put it on Kindle or do you put it on paperback? Now, if you put it on Kindle, you give them one version, one just the text, and it goes into the proper format. And if you give them paperback, you know, in the old days, when you order a book from Amazon, they used to write, let's say I order a book from New York. They had to approach the warehouse in New York, buy the book on my behalf, and send it to South Africa. Today, it's not like this. You'll not believe this. Today, Amazon have printers in every country, in every city, assigned printers. So if somebody is buying the book, the paperback in New York, they approach the New York printer, say to him, print for us one copy, proper, nice, and send it to this person. They work it out that it's cheaper and it's faster. So they don't have to go, maybe it was the COVID, that there were not enough airplanes. I don't know what forced them to do this, but it's a very, very interesting system. In other words, if you're sitting in Colombia, Bogota, or something like this, and you want a paperback of this book, it's very funny because you can very simple do the Amazon order a printer in Bogota to print it and deliver it to your home three days later or so, 2 days later. So I found it a very, very interesting. So a woman from New York phoned me. She's my ex-student, and she said, Tzilli, I bought your book. I said, okay, wonderful. I'm so glad. Now I'll have $1 royalties. I'm rich now. So she's laughing. She said, no, I want to ask you something. I'm totally in the book. She's Shomer Shabbat. So the whole Shabbat she was reading, she got to the middle. She said, is this book, is the truth? Does it mention facts? It means because I give some dates or something like this. And I said to her, yes, if I mention something, and later I'll read to you a very funny paragraph, let's say, of a court case of the blood libel in Kiev. If it says so-and-so was a witness, believe you me, my research was that he was a witness. So she said, whoa. I said, of course, you take stories and you adjust it to the general, but when you mention facts, certain in his history or something, you have to be very, very loyal to the fact. Otherwise, people don't believe. You know, my husband, he reads the books he writes on Amazon, he wants to buy a book from Germany. And the minute that they mention something, that they took the train on this, and he said to me, this and this area do not have train service. And he cut the book out. He said, the writer is not a believable one. In other words, why would I trust him? You want, when you read the book, to trust that whatever is written, whatever, it's the truth. You invest in these characters. So it's a very interesting that I was so careful. So later on, when I'll tell you some of the stories, believe you me, I said that Mr. Sikorsky was the witness in the court. I had to check it. When I said there was a woman that she went to the hospital there in Kiev, I checked it. She was the head of the community. Like here we have Zionist Council or the Board of Deputies. So it's fantastic. On the other hand, you know, I'm a big talker. I think you know me because I'm a lecturer, but I'm a big listener. I'm listening. When you talk to me, you don't know this, but I'm stealing your stories. I'm always listening and thinking, wow, what is this? That is so interesting. This is a heart-wrenching. And every details I'm collecting in a little bit. So I want to tell you a story. About 10 years ago, I had a bar mitzvah in my community. You know that I'm serving as a rabbi in East London community. And I usually fly on Friday. In the morning, I take the family with the boys to the synagogue. I show them in the Torah how to read it, etc. We have the service. And then the evening, the family always invite me not because I'm Tzilli, because I'm the rabbi. Very interesting. So the rabbi is coming, that's part of the bar mitzvah thing. The next day, of course, we have the Torah portion and ta-ta-ta. Okay. So now I'm coming, it's about, like I said, 10 years ago, I'm going to East London. I had a bar mitzvah. And we practice everything. And in the service, when it's finished, I'm going with the family to their home. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something. It's quite heart-wrenching. As we enter the home, you know the lights, like you have 100 watts because you want some light in your room. This house had only 40 watts light. There was the father, mother, the bar mitzvah boy, and a cousin from Cape Town, and me. That was the extended of the bar mitzvah dinner. And when we had to eat food, I saw that in the little tray were 5 pieces of chicken and sort of 5 spoons of rice or whatever, and that was that. So look, I'm a bird, so I eat so little, it's nothing. There is no problem at all. We do this, and we had a wonderful, and the conversation carried, and I went home. The next day was wonderful bar mitzvah. When I flew back to Cape Town, I happened to sit next to the cousin that came for the bar mitzvah. And he told me, you know the story of Tzilli? I say, no. What is the story of Tzilli? He said, oh, it's pity I didn't tell you. Tzilli comes from a family that he was, his parents had a little hotel. You know, Jews had like little inns and hotels around, and they had the hotel somewhere on the roads between so and so in the Eastern Cape. And he said his mother died, and after a little while, his father married another woman. And Tzilli and his little sister had to do the help in the hotel, running of the hotel. You have to see, by the way, Tzilli was a thin little thing. Apparently, he was a marathon runner. Anyway, the long and the short, he said that his father died, and the mother made Tzilli and the little one, sister, be the housekeeper of the hotel, clean the rooms for the customers, help clean the dishes and everything. And slowly, Tzilli left school. And you know, guys, you see this Tzilli that was, as it is, was a little man. I saw him as a little boy, and I thought that is one of the pains that I had in my life, that I thought, no, this is, I don't know how much evilness can be, that you look at a little child, you pull him out of school, you make him a housekeeper in a hotel. This is, and funny enough, Tzilli was such a humble person, such a nice, always appreciative and all this. And of course, now I understood why at home they were so careful, because he was a postal worker and etc. You know, since then, Tzilli was on the top of the Aliyah's list or something, because I thought the world owes him a bit of a kavod, a little bit. You know, this is something heart-wrenching. So these stories stay with me. And when in this book now that I wrote, I had to describe what you can do to a child, which is so horrible. I took Tzilli's story, and of course, I put it on the little girl. There is it's short, it's part of it, but it shows how the girl, later she becomes amazing and she's such a full of life, etc. But can you see? So what happened is the stories are all truth, but I have to make sure that I'm pulling you with me into my heart, into the stories. So I had to change slightly and use the material that you give me from your life into a story, which is so like breathtaking. So the story, I'll just read you the beginning so you know why I love this book so much. The chapter 1, it starts Cape Town, 1990. What would you do if you found a diamond ring? I asked. And the attention of everybody at the table was on me. That would be wonderful. I've always wanted one. Me too, me too. You could hear the women's voices, and then Johann winked and said, thank you, Abigail. I will take it, por favor. Everybody around the table was cracking up with laughter. Johann, you. And what would you do with a diamond ring? I proposed to my girlfriend. There was a chorus of, what would Kate say? And we all looked at her. She was waving her left hand, winking at us. I can do with some help at home. By now, you could hear all 8 of us laughing in unison. Guys, don't laugh. I'm serious. What would you do if you found a diamond ring? Nico, our Greek friend, nodded and said, I'll send it to my sister. My mom phoned and said that all of us need to help my sister. She needs to buy a flat for herself, and nobody gives 100% bond to a spinster. Your sister needs money, not a diamond ring. Okay, so it goes on, and slowly, the characters coming, and you know, but you know that Johann is a philanderer, jokes or no jokes. He has a girlfriend somewhere, and we all know it, etc., etc. But this diamond ring, by the way, you know that it's going and developed, and It's a real true story. I found once a diamond ring. It's a monster diamond ring, by the way. It was a huge, and somebody came, fetch it, never said thank you, never sent them a thank you note, not a flower, not chocolate, which, by the way, somebody said to me, oh, it's illegal. But the story goes and goes, as you see. So you can see I'm writing my life story, but I have to be very careful that I'm not boring you like the father that I described in the middle, or in the beginning of the talk, that says the father said to his children, please sit down, and everybody runs away to the hills, because I mean, it's boring if you tell just facts, facts, facts. So one have to be very careful. We change things. Like I tell you that Solly, this postal worker in East London, that you realize what they've done to him as a child. And I took it and I put it onto a girl or something. You know, I found it often. Do you know the author, Aaron Appelfeld? He's Israeli that writes, what do you called? Aaron Appelfeld. He was the Holocaust survivor, also very little man, very interesting writer. If you would like to look for him, Appelfeld, it's like double P, Appelfeld. And he wrote an autobiography, but he didn't write about Aaron. He didn't write about a boy. He described his exact experience, but he put it on a girl. He described a girl's going through exactly what happened to him, but it's, and you'll know why I love this, because of course the girls, he called himself Tzilli. You can't believe this. And Tzilli in the most bizarre spelling, like I do, with T and Z, not just TS or something. So so sometimes you have to read behind the lines. If Aaron Appelfeld write a little story about Tzilli and you start suspicious, most probably, if you check carefully, it's about his own life. So, as I say, you can change, but I decided not to lie, because as my husband pick up lies very quickly, so I'm telling the truth. So, for example, I said that there is the story I made it into an interesting integral part of one of the characters. It's people that come from Kiev. In Kiev, there was a famous blood libel. And the blood libel was about, it's very famous, it's called Bailey's case. So let me go to page 155, I marked it, 155, and it's a very famous story. I'll just read you, of course, with my accent, but I think most of you know my, I hope you can get it, and if not, just you'll get the book, it will be 155. Two hugely painful events took place in Kiev in 1911. The first one came out with a bang, literally, I mean, a bang, when on the 14th of September, Mordechai Gershovich, better known to the world as Dmitry Bogrov, shot the Russian Prime Minister Stolpin in the Opera House. Jokes made the round in the Jewish community that Mordechai was always a doom cop. Why did he pay for a ticket to the opera if he could simply have shot Stolpin at the train station, like more economical assassins have learned to do? Because it's a famous that somebody just shot somebody else in the train station. Some of the jokes were about Mordechai's bad aim. After all, Tsar Nikolai himself was sitting in the opera house with his daughters Olga and Tatiana. Could he not better have shot one of these three? But on the whole, 1911 was not a good year for joking in the Jewish community in Kiev. On the 21st of July, Menachem Mendel Baylis was charged with killing Andrei Yushinsky, a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy, and hiding his body in a cave near Zaitsev brick factory. Mendel Baylis, who all his life had been a cellophane man, thin and inconspicuous, rose to be a giant of integrity. He insisted on going to trial as he wanted the truth to come out, which took nearly 2 years. almost like the time frame in South Africa court these days. During those 2 years, the Jewish community learned to walk in the shadow and keep their hands behind their backs. You may ask, why hand behind their backs? Well, one thing that kept coming up in the witness testimony was that Baileys, like all Jews who accompanied their speech with a hand gesture, had touched the boy Andrei Yushinsky and harassed him before he stabbed him 14 times. They kept saying that all Jews touch all the time, but obviously they didn't know my rabbis who walk with their hands behind their backs, so that it's clear to women around them that there's not going to be any handshaking. But let's get back to Kiev in 1911. Moshe and Rivkale, that's the characters, the very remember the Baileys trial because they had started school at that time and had been initiated into reading via newspaper. So, okay, so that's the Baileys case, and I'll just go, for example, much of the trial rested on the Christian expert on Jewish rituals. They said that Jews kill Christian children before Passover in order to use their blood for making matzahs. If those blood libels hadn't been so atrocious, I would have told you, the experts, that they should have tried to eat matzah before inventing this idiotic story. Matzah is so dry that anyone who eats it knows that there is absolutely no liquid in it. And so blood libels may sound particularly stupid to 21st century people, but Menachem Mendel Baileys had to convince hostile court that indeed it was so. So it goes on, and but I say it's only to describe this couple that come from Kiev. Do you know what is the nice part? That when I have you in mind, I have my ex-students, I can see some of you, I have my friends of the past, I don't know, even I see Irene, for example, I know her from the temple days that I was teaching her children. I know your way of thinking, or I hope I know, and I treat you very intelligently. So like I say, it's a dance between us. I'm trying to pull you in. And one of the things, not that many writers do, is undermining the intelligence of the readers. So what do? They tell you A, and then they go B, and then they go C, and they finish, and then they go from story to story, but it's almost like steps. What I try to do is, apart from going 1 and 2 and 3, and step by step, I plant seeds in the beginning, and these seeds appear in a funny way later on. And then you say, wait a second, I know this because you already got the hint that something, maybe you didn't know at the time that it's important because it appears only in short, but it appears later on. Of course, for example, the story of the spinster. You remember Nico said, give my diamond ring to my Greek sister, because I'll come to you in the end about the spinster. But I want to tell you something, chapter 28 to 26. And I wrote here, I write about one of the, I tell a story about Amsterdam. Very, very funny story about Amsterdam happened, but I need humanity. The whole chapter is called about humane humanity, about being people that they are nice, they are kind. So I'm using the chapter that have to deal with something about scholarly and about friendship, etc. But I'm using it in order to plant a seed that will come later in South Africa. So the chapter is called Human Humanity, and it's after I'm sitting with a scholar's friend in a conference in Amsterdam coffee shop, I say, oh, guys, I have to run to support one of my colleagues in a lecture, because conferences, you know, you go and you listen to other people's lectures, etc. So, okay. So I had to hug and kiss hurriedly as I discovered that my tram was arriving around the corner. So I'm saying goodbyes to all my friends of lunchtime, and I run across, I have to run to get the tram that takes me to university. I rushed across 6-lane road, trying to dodge trams, cars, and buses. When right in the middle of the road, my foot got caught on the protruding metal rail of a tram, and my hands instinctively flew forward to try and stop my tumble face down onto the asphalt, to no avail. Life went into slow motion. I could see the panic in the eyes of the passengers in the oncoming tram and could hear them screaming in horror. Can you imagine that I'm on the floor and the tram is coming? There is no way that they stop or I can get out of the way. While at the same time, they were trying to stop their own unintended flight forwards when the tram came to an abrupt stop about 20 centimeters from my body. For what felt like eternity, I could hear the gasps of all my colleagues from the restaurant, obviously, along with other restaurant patrons who rose in horror, expecting my body to be crushed under the screeching small metal wheels. From the corner of my eye, I saw people rushing forward to help. I didn't feel any pain, not yet. The excruciating pain fell upon me only when I was climbing with strangers' help into the tram, trying to pretend that it was not too bad. I dismissed my colleagues and friends with a wave, telling them to stay where they were, and nodded to the tram driver, pretending that I was okay. A young German tourist who stood near me was not fooled by my brave face and held my shaking body securely to stop me from collapsing. A typical tall Dutch lady bent down and cleaned my bleeding knee with a silk handkerchief, which she pulled out of her elegant handbag. People around relieved me of the heavy rucksack on my back, while talking softly and gently in a babble of languages I didn't hear or understand. And a little girl who was standing with her mom came close to me and put her soft, chubby little hand in my tar-soiled right palm. I felt so much love. And before I managed to express my gratitude and describe to them how special they were making me feel, I had to step off the tram and leap my way to Susanna's presentation. My heart felt gratitude for the human love, which was so readily overflowing towards me as I hobbled to the classroom where Susanna had just started her presentation. And it's what happened later in the book, I will tell you in short. It's also something that was said in a way in my life, is that we're going out in Cape Town, and it happened to me. I gave once a sermon about this in East London in Rosh Hashanah. And one of the boys, you know, that's standing in the robot, somebody made a joke and tried to drive towards him. I don't know how disgusting humans are, that he made a joke, this boy holding a dirty blanket, and he ride towards him. I'm sure that he had a plan to stop somehow, but the boy doesn't know this. So one of those street urchins saw this huge car coming towards him, and he runs and he falls towards the sidewalk and on his face. And that moment, it's towards the end of the book, that moment, I say, there was no one to wipe his blood with some handkerchief. There is no one is there to talk to. There was no soft hand of the little girl that held me. I mean, you know, the humanity. So it is such a, so when you read the story, what I want to say, it is so nice because I'm weaving, and I hope that you'll see that what's coming, not always we know, but sometimes I'm preparing because I need it later. Okay. So, of course, it's not only jokes and fun for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's for myself. I'm having fun. Again, I trust not all of this fun that I'm having with myself, you will understand. But so what? It's I think it's almost like when you are somewhere and you see people having fun, you don't mind. It's part of the whole atmosphere. It's a positive atmosphere. So I'm playful. So, for example, that in the pizzeria, when I'm talking to them about the diamond ring, I don't call the waiter a waiter. I call him the pepper mill pusher or something, you know. So it's, you can smile or you can see it as it is. For example, I tell a story. There is about a woman, a friend of ours, was caught shoplifting. This is a bit, now she's calling for help because she has to be bailed out. The police is not letting her go so quickly. So she calling me, they have one phone call. She calls and she said, Abigail, can you come? Can you come quickly? Don't tell anyone and please bring money, 1,500. Guys, 1,500 a few years ago was a lot of money. So there is it goes like this. And I'll tell you why I had the joke. I think you'll pick up, some of you. Some people that don't go often to movies, you will not, but at least I had fun. At the entrance to the police station, a 40-year-old version of Jack Nicholson with a bad hair day was sussing me out. Then he approached me quickly and introduced himself as Ria's lawyer. He said that his name was Stuart Oberholzer and that I had to give him some money so that he could arrange for her release, 1,500 in cash to be precise. So it's going on, and I cut. I'm not reading you. Read the book, it's fun. Stuart, the ambulance chaser, said that Ria had told him that she needed to be released as soon as humanly possible and that she did not want the family to know what was holding her up. It sounded rational, so I handed him my money and followed him into the charge office on the ground floor. Big mistake, big mistake. Thinking about this, would you have handed over your hard-earned cash to the devil incarnate in The Witches of Eastwick? But as can you see, I start getting on Jack Nicholson and my brain is playing now games. All the books, all the movies of Jack Nicholson coming, of course, now as a fun when I have to describe him. So would you give him the Witch, the devil from the Witches of Eastwick? But as I was inexperienced in police custody matters, his fast talk and confident manner made him look as though he was as good as it gets. And then it goes on and on. Anyway, the police officer told me that it was not necessary to pay him, it was stupid. And with her recognized thick accent, she explained that Ria had apparently appointed him as her attorney, though dit is nicht nodig nie. I don't understand Afrikaans, but I got what she meant. It was not necessary. And the image of the Joker who had made my money disappear made me angry. So, of course, it's nothing big in the book, but it's one of those that I'm playing with myself. I'm having a good time, and I hope I'm playing with you. So, look, I'm not going to do the whole book, but I'll tell you something funny. The end of the book, I couldn't ignore that we are in COVID. So even though a lot of the book is through the years, and it's so nice for us in Cape Town, the East London community is going to love it. Since it was published, you know how many Eastern Cape people phone me and say, wow, you describe Stutterheim. Oh, you describe Queenstown. Oh my goodness me, it's this. They know exactly this hotel, this school. So it's really, people feel so special. And we in Cape Town will recognize Boyton Street and we'll recognize things. So it's a wonderful of our experience. But the fun in the end, 295. So why I say it's the end, it's not only about us. There is a point that I call it the epilogue. It's the last chapter. And I write, it's chapter 36, epilogue. Look at us now, Cape Town 2021. So it's very cute. For us, it's really a chapter that I wrote before the book went to publishing. And there is a saying, the clearest view is in the rear view mirror. When friends go home after a nice dinner and I stand in the kitchen washing the dishes, I go over the conversation that took place during the evening and I think, I should have said so-and-so. Why didn't I think of this when the topic came up? And so on and so on. Yes, in retrospect, all of us are very wise and we all know what we should have said, taking stock of the situation and summarizing the lessons we learned. So allow me to do this right now, right here, right now. So I summarize all the characters that we got invested in, and we are so familiar with them. It's a fun ride, but I'm finished. There is one paragraph I want to read you because it's really cute. About Nico's spinster sister. So, of course, throughout the book, she appears that Nico said, oh, what we have to do. And they laugh at, our non-Jewish friends laughing at us at one stage, and they say, oh, between you Greek and Jews, you have no cutlery and crockery at home. I mean, you break glasses and you break plates, and, you know, because it's true from weddings. So it's a very fun, in a nice way, of bringing the fun and the beauty of Judaism, the Shabbat meals, etc., and the connection to Israel, and also the Greek, because I have some Greek friends that allow me. So Nico's spinster sister, because I'm writing on each one of us. How is it finished? Nico's spinsterish sister, Sophia, is not in lockdown. Everybody is, I'm writing, we are in lockdown, these ones are locked down. I say, Sophia is in lockup in a wonderful marriage to a Greek widower. We don't know what she put in his drink, but if she commercializes it, she will become a millionaire, as he thinks that she is the best thing since the invention of sliced bread. If he had been Rodin, Sophia would have been his model for Aphrodite, the sexy goddess of love and beauty. Let's just say that for her doting husband, Sophia is what beautiful Gala was for Salvador Dali. And we thought that she was so plain. Listening to him describing his beautiful wife, one could think that compared to Sophia, Pam, our sultry friends, the high-class escort girl, who turned up, okay, it's, anyway, she's nothing. I'll just finish with this. What happened, one of the chapters, one of the husband don't want to give alimony to his wife. So we contrived, the girls, to turn him into butter. And of course, you know how you do this. If a man is satisfied, he's much more amicable. So there is a absolutely hilarious chapter how we, the ladies in the group, in the circle, turn him into butter. By the way, what is the last sentence in the book? You remember the first sentence in the book is, what would you do if you found a diamond ring? And there's a whole amazing story of the diamond ring. So I have to confess that it took me some decades to figure it out, but now I know. Who needs diamond rings when you have a ring of love and friendship around you? It is magic, the magic of us. So, and that is obviously the name of the book. So hopefully you'll come and tango with me and have this, because especially between us, people that know the Jewish background, you are going to have a good giggle, and people from Cape Town is even more in all this. So enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Tzilli. The way that you've described the book and the enjoyment that you're having while you're describing it makes me want to read it, and I'm sure many people will want to read it as well. Would anybody like to say anything or ask any questions on it?
I'd like to say something, if I may.
Yes,
It's really, I can hear it's a fun book, and you've got so many references. You know, when you give a story, then you're referring to so many other things that actually it expands it and it makes it far more interesting than just the straight story.
Yeah.
I just want to say something. When you talked about the rear mirror, that when you drive, it's more important to look in the rear mirror. Let me tell you, I was in Cairo, and there is so much traffic in Cairo at peak hour that every car pulls in their mirrors because there's no space on the sides for their mirrors. So they're not looking at the rear mirror. And then the other thing is, in India, I saw it's like a little documentary of somebody who visited. I've been to India, but I mean, it's chaos. But somebody who visited India and was asked to drive a car there, and the Indian sitting next to him kept on saying, "Don't look at the back. Don't look backwards. Don't just look forwards. The person behind you will be looking forwards as well." So they don't use a rear mirror, and that's why they have so many accidents. Yeah. And I just thought of that at the moment when you said that.
But it's always like this. We are more clever.
I'm trying to know what your friend stole. What did your friend steal?
I can't tell you.
The one who ended up in jail, the one who had to bail out.
No, I can't tell you. And but it's quite amazing because I went to the court. I was a translator in court. And once I was sitting there in court and translating, so there is some funny stories from the court. So I could pick up the fun part and how you address the judge and how you do this. But it's again, can you see, I'm playful, but I will not put a foot wrong by meaning of describing something that I've never been inside, which, like I said, my husband said, hey, it's so unbelievable. So it's, but I think, I will not say a name, so just some of you and from Cape Town, and I know that somebody bought my book already because, you know, Amazon let you know when it's sold. And I know this person appear in the book. Her daughter appears in the book. She will recognize. It is so cute. It's a tiny little, like 2-3 paragraph, and it's so funny. But she will pick it up because, like I say, you don't have to invent as a writer. You just have to be sensitive to the people around you and pick up this beautiful. You don't have to pick up heart-wrenching, like what I say with Tzilli, that actually changed my life. A story of how you do this to children. But you can also pick up some fun stories and then it appears somewhere else. But thank you for the remark. Yeah. Any question? No. So now I'll tell you, like I started saying, hey, yes, Irene, you wanted to ask something? I saw that you, no? So I just want, because a lot of you are my friends here on the online, it is an experience to be with Amazon. Suddenly you are an Amazon, right? You have to do it this way. You have to do it this way. And they, you know, they say to me, we will put your book. I say you can put it basically free because rich I'm not going to be. And it was like a baby. You want it out. You wanted the book out, especially when you are at COVID at home. And they say, no, we'll put it on $2 or something like this. Why? Because they want, out of the $2, one goes to Jeff Bezos and one go to me. So basically, maybe it's, no, I'm telling you not the truth. One goes to me and 50 cents go to Bezos' wife and 50 cents go to Bezos. Yeah, but anyway, but it is very interesting and it's a wonderful thing to see that somebody in New Zealand, somebody in UK asked to print the book. Obviously Amazon found a printer around London, printed the book, because in my report from Amazon, because they send you a report, in the report it says a hard copy was delivered, you know, to New York. I had 2 copies. This in London was another hard copy was delivered. So it's a very interesting how you see and how you learn about this process and all this. So if you ever...
So Tzilli, if one wants to buy the actual book, which shops are they selling them at?
Okay. Oh, thank you, Hilda. You are so clever. Okay. May I suggest, because books are very expensive, I went to the lounge, how do you call it, the book launch. And I said to them, they say yes, but it's have to be 350 rand or something because it's printed very well and very nicely, etc. They say we have to make also some living. So what I suggest for Diana, if you will put my email on on the site, and ladies and gentlemen, I spoke with the printers. We will print 30, 40 copies if people want to hold the book. Kindle is easy because you go Amazon and Bezos and I share our love and laugh, and maybe I'll be a millionaire. And I'm joking. But the hard copy, if people will send me email with their phone number and address, I will make sure that I said to the printer how much it will cost if we cut the thing. She said, if you take 250, we'll be able to deliver it to people, but it's only for clothes because then money is not made. So please write, if you want a paper copy of the book, please write to me, email with your telephone number and address, and I'll make sure that the printer send you for 250 rand, which I thought that was fantastic. So, okay. Thank you, Hilda. That was unlimited. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe just instead of you getting 1 million emails, if anybody is interested in the book, send your needs to me, and I will send Tzilli an email with your names and contact numbers.
That's very nice of you, Diana. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you, but it really will be nice, and it will be service to our seniors, because really, like I say, it will go directly for the printer and it will be delivered to their home. And maybe then they in an envelope, we'll have to have the 250 rand, but somebody will come, deliver, not touching, COVID, just put an envelope with the book in it. And I thought that it will be very nice. So, okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else got any questions? Any comments? Thank you.
Was your address director@cjsa.com? Was it what?
.org.za. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Tzilli, once again, thank you so much for chatting to us this morning. Delighted to hear about your book, and we wish you every success with it. This afternoon's concert is Michael Bublé. I think, Philip, you want to say something?
No, I can see all my friends, Cedric and Felicity. And,
no, I was just saying.
And Sybil and Cecilia.
Thank you very much today. Always good to see you. Take care.
Thank you.
And good luck with the book.
Bye-bye.
So the concert this afternoon is Michael Bublé at 2 o'clock. So please join us for a fabulous concert. Tomorrow morning is our Yiddish morning at 10 a.m. And next week, Thursday morning, is the monthly concert with Ivor and his friends. So unless anybody's got anything to say, we'll see you at our next Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.